Where we left off last time, I described the origins of Henry Emily and William Afton, and solved the mysteries of Fredbear's Family Diner's origins where the mediocre melodies went, and ended the first section mentioning that William made or rented out an underground facility for some unknown reason. The year is 1982, and even though I mentioned earlier that Freddy and the gang are here, that is in 1983, and I forgot to mention a few events from 1982. They're definitely important events. The reason Elizabeth and Miss Afton aren't here is not because Elizabeth is dead, but because Miss Afton thought William was neglecting his sons, and so she took Elizabeth. Now, regarding this, so this is not really running on any evidence, but I wanted to mention this, is that it seems based on the audio clips and all the things that is going on in the family, that William was playing favorites, because it seems like he spends a lot more time with Elizabeth throughout the games rather than with his actual sons. And showing up how he acts with Michael later, I can probably say that he was probably favoriting Elizabeth. So this might have been also the reason why Miss Afton took Elizabeth. So then that would force William to actually take care of his actual sons. And that's just something I wanted to mention. Well, there's also, speaking of his wife, there's implications that he might have just mistreated his wife. Not like abused her or anything, but I mean like emotionally toiled with her. My evidence for this is two different Easter eggs, being the Immortal and the Restless show from Sister Location, and the retro CDs from Security Breach. Even though I don't like the inclusion of the retro CDs from Security Breach, it has a lot of references to the Immortal and the Restless, most specifically two. Now, obviously, these forms of media are not fully accurate to what happened. I mean, unless William's son is a vampire and Vanessa's Elizabeth reincarnated. Anyways, looking at both of these Easter eggs, I think I was able to deduce what happened to Miss Afton and Elizabeth. One thing that immediately stood out to me was that both the show and the CDs mentioned child custody going on. In Vanessa's therapy tapes, we hear that her father had her make her mother look bad in court so that he could win the child custody case. But interestingly, in The Immortal and the Restless, it appears that the mother actually won the case. So, what happened here? How could William win the child custody case and yet lose? The show is a coincidentally retelling of William and his wife, since we don't have much to go off of, and Vanessa's parents are a coincidence too. So what in the world is going on? Like, I actually need something here, because like I need something, like some evidence to, get me to a starting point. Like, give me something that could work with. Is like something else interesting that was going on? Man, I don't. All right, I don't know. I need something.
As the sun sets, so also does another chapter in the saga of love lost between Vlad and his distressed mistress. Can they be reconciled? Can their love rise again? That and more happening now.
Wait a second. Wait just a minute. Vlad and his distressed mistress. It doesn't call Clara his wife. It calls her a mistress. Okay, you might be wondering, why am I bringing this up? Well, if you look up the term mistress, it does not mean a wife. It means a woman in an affair. Wait, so hold on. And Vlad also repeatedly tells her the baby is not his. So, oh my gosh. William has a fourth child. And most likely, it's Vanessa. It's so simple once you look at it from that angle. Vanessa acting like William is her father in the movie. It all makes sense. It all makes sense. Vanessa can be his daughter. It's just that she has a different mother. There is one problem with this though. Clara refers to the child as a he, but at the same time there's no mention anywhere else about a confirmed fourth child, so we can probably dismiss this as a gender swap to trick the audience. I mean, Scott is the same person that keeps swapping Mangle's gender, so it's not like the first time he's done this. In this show, Clara mentions that Vlad is getting his pay reduced and he works at the Fry Me Taco restaurant. This could be that either William had another job, but most likely he is just lying to her to cover up his actual original family. The show ends with the reveal that Clara set the house on fire, with Vlad not giving a single care about the house, but they reconcile when Clara sees Vlad bought a kid's meal for his son. Hey, and just because the show is lore connected does not make it a good show. Oddly enough, we don't know what happened in episode 3 due to Funtime Foxy kidnapping us in Sister location, but it's probably not that important. But this does make me wonder, since we don't see anything of Clara or hear from her, what in the world happened to her? I believe that he lost the custody case with Clara because he didn't think the kid was his, and his wife left because she found out about the affair. William probably lost the case, and Clara, seeing what kind of man William is, leaves him with their newborn daughter. So right now, William is having to take care of Michael and Evan all by himself without his wife and daughter, and it doesn't seem to be going too well, because Michael is just a huge jerk and Evan won't stop crying. Speaking of Evan, it's a few days until his birthday. No one wants to be sad on their birthday though, so we need to figure out why he is crying. Can you guys figure out why Evan is crying? I'm not hearing a response. The only responses I'm hearing are either empty pauses or those people that keep saying that he cried because he saw Springlock victims. Well, let's figure out what exactly he's crying about. So anyway, regarding actually, yeah, speaking of the Springlock suits, that's actually one of my first points I want to pull up. Is that, you know, so many do believe, and probably a good bit of you watching this believe he's crying because he saw the Springlock suits malfunction. But I don't think that's the case, because there's a line of dialogue saying, "You know what will happen if he catches you." Therefore, it makes no sense for a Springlock victim to come after him if the guy died or could barely move. But I think I might have solved it. The divorce. I think this is the reason he is crying, because keep in mind that Evan has been crying for quite a while, but it appears it hasn't been gone for that long. The reason I mention this is because of this kid. This guy can be seen laughing at us and saying, "Aren't you the kid who always hides under the table and cries?" So you would think, based on him saying always, that this has happened a lot. Well, we see in the Bite minigame that this is also the same guy that's one of Michael's friends. And considering how Michael's acting, it's not far-fetched that he probably saw Evan crying under the table in night 3 and just told his friends his brother always acts like that. But this still doesn't solve much. So it's not from Springlock victims, and then the crying started like not long before this. So that limits it down a little bit. And so the reasoning's man, it's a little difficult trying to figure this out, because I need a solid answer for this. So, wait a minute, what about his fear of Fredbear? Well, that's surprisingly easy once you look at it, because remember, shown from the office and Sister location, it's confirmed that the plushie was a walkie-talkie. So psychic friend Fredbear was really just a walkie-talkie the whole time, probably using from William's voice, meaning William communicated with his son through this plushie. We see later that the jaw mechanisms on this thing are unnaturally deadly, along with possibly many other mechanisms of the animatronic. So, he was protecting his son from getting too close to the animatronics, and used this as a fear tactic on his son. Hey, so I'm in the middle of editing the second part, and I just realized a huge mistake that I made. So right here, I said that the plush is just William just talking to the crying child, or like Evan, or whatever you want to call him at this point. And I realized exactly how wrong that is, because there's a part in the FNAF 4 minigames where we see him working in Fredbear's Family Diner, and so there's no way that he could be talking to him. My other guess that it was going to be pre-recorded messages, but that would be far too coincidental to happen. And so the only other thing I could think of is, so since the Fredbear plush appears at every single location some way or another, there's no way that there's just a lot of Fredbear plushes just sitting around and moving their eyes like a camera. That's not right. So what my main thing is, so I might bring up the fact that Fredbear's a walkie-talkie at some point later on, but I just want to confirm it now that what the real thing is, that he's an imaginary friend. I feel like there's two of them, where it's like one of them's like a walkie-talkie Fredbear, like the one in his room. Like I think in the end of Night 6, I think that one is just a plushie with the walkie-talkie, or it's like, it's kind of like in his head, if that makes sense, where, it could be the thing like where Evan's in the hospital bed, and then like the plush is just beside him or something, and William's telling him, I'll put you back together or something like that, if that makes any sense. So basically it's just the Fredbear plush is an imaginary friend, and he'll tell Evan stuff that he normally doesn't want to hear, such as, like when he's scared of Fredbear, and the core reason is just that he doesn't like him, but then the deeper meaning is that he thinks that it'll get him. But then it's also revealed that, that can't be possible if it was a Springlock suit, or if something happened with the Fredbear stuff. So that's what I think, is that it's just a deeper meaning as like an imaginary friend to the crying child, if that makes any sense. I don't know if it does, and that's basically what I can think of right now, is that it's just an imaginary friend, and throughout the entire game it's just something that no one acknowledges, and so therefore it's just one of those deeper thought things where like the normal thoughts are just that, oh, I don't like the animatronics, but then the deeper thoughts are just, either ignoring the situation of the divorce, if that makes any sense at all. And then when he's actually on his deathbed in FNAF 6, I guess that one could be real despite it being in his head. It's kind of like he has like one of those plushes, and yet he always treats it as an imaginary friend. So yeah, so the plush actually exists in his room, I feel like, within like that pile of different toys he's collected over time. And there is one that's like William will listen in on the plush and to hear what his son is doing, and so that's how he communicates with him, saying, I'll put you back together, because William was probably at the hospital at the time, but just to make sure, it was probably recorded on the walkie-talkie or something, because since the walkie-talkie's by the bear, he probably brought the bear there for some reason. I don't know, probably just like a comfort toy and he forgot to take it out. I don't know, I hope that makes sense. That's one of those things where I had to run on assumptions, but I'm pretty sure that's what's going on. Alright, back to the video. This can help support the theory that he didn't see the Springlock victims, and William didn't do anything about Michael bullying his brother, probably because he either wasn't there at the time, or in other cases, wanted to see how heartless Michael was to his brother, and then deal with him later with a more severe punishment. I don't know, that might be it, but it's probably the former. But anyway, since that settles Evan's fear, it could make a lot of sense that the reason he is crying is because of the divorce, and in that child mindset, believes that he will probably never see his mother or sister again. It is now a little while after the divorce, and Evan's birthday finally comes. Michael rallies up his friends and has an idea. A horrible idea. A nasty, taunting, and Freddy-licious idea. He finds his brother, realizes he is scared of Fredbear, and places his brother into the jaws of Fredbear. Michael considers it a fun prank, seeing his brother squirm and squeal, but something, sadly, goes wrong. Evan has been chumped. William and Michael take Evan to the hospital, but sadly, Evan dies one day later, and William makes a promise to put him back together. William is furious at Michael because of this, and so he punishes him. How? Well, I am not going to answer that question just yet, because there is one other incident I would like to elaborate on that I sadly didn't talk about earlier that actually connects in with that. But for now on, let's just assume that he, just locked Michael in his room, because there's a more severe punishment coming, but I'm just going to say he's just going to lock him in his room for right now. So, anyway, remember when I said towards the beginning of the section that William bought an underground facility? Well, it's underneath Fredbear's and his house, and an entirely separate area with a working elevator. Based on the Sish Location Breaker Room map, besides the areas of the Sish Location map itself, we can deduce the shaded room, like at the body of it, like at the very bottom left. It looks a lot like the Plush Trap minigame, so it could easily be that. The right area looks like the FNAF 4 bedroom, but what about the area to the left? Well, it looks an awful lot like the route from Evan's house to Fredbear's, and there is a room connecting to the circus gallery. Most likely, it was a secret room in that area that William was helping an employee at in the FNAF 4 minigames, but most likely, William built this so that he could be close to his family, but still be working, and he probably didn't build the plush trap and bedroom stuff yet. And it just wouldn't make sense or wouldn't be necessary at this point, but William's main necessity for this place was he tried to build animatronics to try to rival Henry. He knew Henry got the credit from making their animatronics, and is now working on the new characters at the moment. So, while Henry's busy, William wanted to make his own animatronics, and so after a lot of money wasted and a bunch of trial and error, he created Circus Baby, which was inspired by his daughter Elizabeth. And with that, he created Circus Baby's Pizza World. Most likely this is where the elevator came from, so that William could easily bring Circus Baby up and down from the laboratory with ease. Circus Baby was different from the other animatronics made because she would carry cakes in her stomach hatch to give to kids for their birthdays, and also her face could open up for some reason. Everyone loved it, especially Elizabeth, whenever she visited. Because come on, even though it's child custody, she had to visit sometime. And it was also probably because once Evan dies, that could also be the reason that Elizabeth is here. Also, as for Henry, did Henry like it? I don't actually know. He probably felt a little bit betrayed, but besides that, he was fine. Besides, he had his own daughter, Charlotte. Hopefully nothing bad happens to her. Okay, yeah, irony. So, William went ahead and made his official side company, Afton Robotics, and everything was going swell. Circus Baby was giving away cupcakes, making children happy, got too close to Elizabeth one day, the normal stuff. William warned her not to go near Circus Baby because he knows she isn't stable yet and doesn't want to lose a child. This simultaneously happens, most likely just a few days after Evan's party, by the way. And so, that could explain why she's down here, even if she doesn't visit William. It could be that they were there for a funeral or something. More on that a little bit later, actually. So Elizabeth doesn't listen, and eventually all the kids start leaving the restaurant because they are full, probably from the pizza and cupcakes and everything, and have been entertained. William is busy at Fredbear's and or Circus Baby's, trying to think of more cast members to add, and also mourning his son's death, and also trying to figure out a severe punishment for his other son. And Circus Baby has one more sweet treat left, an ice cream cone with a cherry on top. She offers it to Elizabeth, but she goes haywire and Elizabeth is scooped inside of Circus Baby. William is the first to hear about this, and upon seeing Baby's eyes were blue and now they are green, he just realized what happened. Is it weird? Yes. Is it unbelievable? Probably. But then the man loses his son a few days earlier, so yeah. But anyway, the long story short, both his child are at loss. First it's Evan, now it's Elizabeth. So yeah, it's not a good day for William. So then William panics and shuts down Circus Baby's Pizza World due to gas leaks, I'm saying that in quotations, and shuts the place down. So yeah, William's wife left him, probably sued him over child neglect, has one child left, and has probably went a little insane. And just in time too, because Henry finished building the animatronics for the new location, which they hyped up for months at this point. Fredbear and Friends. This is when the other animatronic cast is presented, and Bonnie invented the floss. Henry also made the security puppet, an animatronic designed to track all the children to make sure they behave. On one fateful night in 1983 at this point, probably somewhere between a week or more likely a month or two after the whole Circus Baby and Fredbear incident. Well, in that case, it could probably be late 1982. That would probably actually make more sense, actually. So yeah, anyway, sorry about saying that. Late 1982. Henry decides to bring his daughter Charlotte to the pizzeria, the new one. Sadly, some stupid kids decide to ruin her day and leave her outside in the rain. Meanwhile, William is still struggling with what has happened, and so he demolishes, well actually, it sells, Fredbear's Family Diner so he wouldn't have to think about it, and also resorts to drinking. William gets drunk, causes a scene in the bar, and proceeds to drunk drive over to the new location. Now, being completely out of his mind, he finds Charlotte in the pouring rain, and he goes over to her and brutally murders her, with both the puppet and Freddy watching it unfold. The security puppet couldn't do anything because the kids placed a heavy object over it, but then once the puppet gets the box off, with brute force, they rush outside, with William nowhere in sight. But the puppet finds the girl, gives her a hug, and Charlotte's spirit merges into the puppet. Now, you may be wondering, why are we seeing Freddy's perspective of this? Most likely due to programming just being recorded, I don't know. So, then what happens? Well, William decides to head home, and upon getting home, he sees that Michael has escaped the house for some reason. So in fact, I am making the assumption that William is in fact the Midnight Motorist protagonist. However, I know that quite a few of you watching are questioning me and how I came to this conclusion. Well, let me tell you. Keep in mind with this one that just like most of these mysteries being solved, I'm running mostly on assumptions here with little evidence since there's not really much to go off of. So firstly, the layout. We see there's a bar called Junior's right on the way of this guy's house. Keep in mind that most likely after the incident, as I said, this place probably got closed down and William and Henry didn't open it back up again, probably because either there wouldn't be a point since William is still grieving his dead children, or they got a huge lawsuit that they couldn't pay off. Either or could have happened, I'm personally sided with the former decision that they probably just close it down, and William's still grieving, so that's probably one of the main reasons they close it down, and also a child's head getting freaking chomped. So anyways, that's not really a big mystery, but I just wanted to say that. So yeah, just put your personal headcanon on that one if you want. So why do I mention this? Well, it's because no one in their right mind would make another animatronic-themed place here, or anything for the entertainment of children for that matter, since it was a child who was killed here. So why not make it into a bar? You wouldn't have to demolish the place, because just remove the balloons, animatronics, and a few of the tables, add a small martini bar, and boom, you actually have a stand-up comedian bar. And the reason the road is so curved is because we don't see much of the road in FNAF 4, the outside minigames. So, as far as we know, the road could be the most dangerous curvy road ever conceived. In fact, did you realize that compared to the other two minigames, this minigame seems to have a completely unattached main game around it? Like, Fruity Maze has Susie playing the game the whole time, we figure out what's going on later, and the security puppet minigame, we see what the puppet does for his existence and the entire time, so the final twist isn't really unrelated. But in this game, it's just a highway racing game that has nothing to do with anything around us. So perhaps William was just cruising at 100 miles an hour to get back from his murder. That has nothing to do with the main story, but I thought I'd bring that up for laughs. So really, this could most definitely be William's house, except for one thing. The layout of the house. It doesn't remotely match the FNAF 4 minigame map of the interior house. I was stumped on this, but then you must consider one other thing. The rest of the house isn't important here. Think about it. You can't explore almost any of the rooms from Fredbear's in the FNAF 4 game, as well as look in all the rooms in the house, and even then, they don't tell us stuff we don't know already. So in that case, why does it matter if we see all the rooms except for Michael's? I know it's a cheesy way of looking at it, but still, I'm running out of ideas for that one. I'm not working with much here, as I just said. Also, special thanks to Reddit user Joels0543, who made a comparison of the FNAF 4 menu screen house and the Midnight Motorist house based on its outside layout. If you reverse either one of them and play with the contrast, you got pretty much the same exact house. And to make it better, where exactly is the back corner of the house facing? In what direction? Why, it's over by Junior, silly. If you need a diagram, look at the breaker room map again. If Plushtrap's area will be on the bottom left area and the fake nightmare room on the right, both of them not being used or even quite built yet, we see Fredbear's is on the left, which also has what looks like a house, which is, as we stated, Aftons' house. But since Fredbear's has been replaced with Junior's, I am thinking someone probably found a secret hatch in the building, but thankfully William blocked it off. And since William's house is the closest to this place, someone is photographing William's house using this as possible evidence. But at the same time, this guy, I don't know why he would be taking pictures. There's more evidence for this guy taking pictures later on, by the way. Anyway, back to what I was talking about earlier. I'm losing my mind. There's a grave behind the house, which is most likely Evan since Elizabeth's body wasn't found. And I don't know about you, but I don't think William wants to look through baby for his daughter when he is in this mourning process. So, if this is Michael escaping the house, then who is this on the chair in the house? I believe that is Miss Afton. Why? Well, it is her child as well, so she is coming to mourn her children. Oh, and by the way, the reason Evan is buried back here is technically it's actually legal to have a home burial in most U.S. states, actually every single state except for California. William probably wanted to stay close to his son, especially after telling him he will put him back together. So yes, Miss Afton is trying to comfort Michael, while William is still furious at him for what he did to his brother. Michael is said to have had a rough day, and is probably because he is mourning over, well, not only his brother, but also his sister. Now, two more mysteries is where is Michael going, and who do the footprints belong to outside? I believe that Michael is going to Fredbear's and friends, possibly, and, because now this is going to be dark, I'm just going to warn you guys, but probably he was going to get ended off by one of the animatronics so that he isn't a burden to his father. I know it's really dark, but that could be a possibility. Either that, or he just wants to tamper with some of the animatronics to see how they work. And yeah, so William interprets this as Michael trying to make everything worse. As far as who the footprints are is a whole new ordeal, because keep in mind the weather condition with the footprints. Michael has escaped through the back window, and his footprints are barely visible compared to the huge footprints that look darker. Not only that, but footprints, if they are big enough, can last a few days to a week in the rain, or even on dry land. It depends on when it happened. So these footprints didn't have to be there that night to still be appearing. So, for all we know, it could have been William trying out the springlock suit during the day. But looking at the position of the house, it appears something was looking straight at Michael. But that couldn't be it, either, because, this is right as Charlotte is emerging with the puppet, which isn't enough time to merge somebody else yet. Unless Golden Freddy. Well, not this Golden Freddy, but, I just wanted to show this thing. No, I'm talking about the actual real Golden Freddy. Because, yeah, I actually cannot believe I've gone over half an hour without even mentioning his name at this point. If we assume that the original Fredbear is Golden Freddy, because keep in mind that Golden Freddy is a ghostly individual rather than a physical threat, but in this case, since Fredbear's is closed and the animatronics most likely were tossed or put away, perhaps Evan merged with Golden Freddy from pure agony and rage, that unlike the other, the puppet didn't need to merge them together. And so he possesses Fredbear and walks through the woods all the way back to his house without being noticed. However, someone apparently noticed him. Perhaps this is the man, this is the main reason that man from Junior's was taking pictures of the house. Maybe, just maybe, they saw an animatronic back there, but by the time they grabbed the camera, it was gone. But they took a picture anyway. I am just thinking, because there's not a lot of things to work with here. This could also explain what happens in a little bit where Michael starts to hallucinate nightmares. The reason Fredbear is the final night antagonist is simply because that is the creature he saw outside his window. That would be the thing to be most afraid of. And so, Evan made it there, staring at Michael in rage until he was terrified, and then left. Where did he go? Probably to be scrapped. I'm just thinking, we don't see this guy in any of the locations besides the exoskeleton costume portion. Actually, we don't see him anywhere, or anything of that sort. Besides the Fredbear and Friends place and the diner, those are the only places with the springlock suits that we know of at the moment. Why am I mentioning this? I actually don't know. Before I actually lose my entire freaking mind, I want to do a quick recap of this, so that it somewhat makes sense. In 1982, Evan's birthday is coming up, and Michael and his friends decide to prank him. Evan is pretty shooken up after his parents' divorce, and William was most likely having an affair with another woman at the time, who then gave birth to Vanessa, who William would neglect. And then, it's costing him 2 child custody cases. His wife took Elizabeth, and he kept the boys. Meanwhile, William made a secret lab to make another company to rival with Henry, being Circus Baby's Pizza World. Simultaneously, Evan's birthday is a disaster, resulting in his head being chomped. At this time, William promises Evan he'll put him back together as he momentarily dies. Miss Afton hears about this and takes Elizabeth to a home burial, where William is holding this whole thing at. While they are there, William spends more time with his daughter, while Miss Afton tries sympathizing with Michael. Elizabeth has a big interest in Circus Baby, the mascot of Circus Baby's Pizza World. As the designer, William knows she isn't fully safe, but makes sure to tell Elizabeth specifically to not go near her because something bad could happen. Surprise, surprise, she doesn't listen and something bad happens. Now they have one child left. Michael is traumatized and William goes to drinking. He goes to Junior's, the bar down the street that after Fredbear's was closed, some guy turned into a bar. And then he goes drunk driving to his other location. He sees Henry's daughter, Charlotte, outside and in a fit of insanity, murders her. The security puppet sees this and merges with Charlotte. William heads back and sees Michael's gone. While he is gone, or most likely a little while before, Evan came to visit Michael. You know, he would look more terrifying if this was in the rain, since the spring lock suits go off, but since no one's in that suit and it's just possessed, it would look like a mangled corpse staring at you across the dark street. Evan will become Golden Freddy and is alive due to pure agony and rage. This monstrosity gets the attention of some random Joe at Junior's who tries taking a picture of it, but by the time he gets his camera, the thing is gone. But takes a picture of the Afton home anyways, in case he ever needs to report them. William comes back and sees Michael has run away to Fredbear and friends, and fears Michael will just make everything worse. So what did William do to Michael? Well, you're gonna have to figure that out in the next part, because I'm out of time and I had to go to work. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed me losing my sanity for another time today, and I hope you guys learned something. I hope this was fun to hear. Part 3 should be coming within probably the next month or maybe 2. I might actually wait until the new game comes out, since it's really close to coming out, so then I have all the facts ready. So anyway, with all that being said, I'm Complex to Live, and I'll see you guys on the other side. Bye-bye.